On December 17th, 2019, I started this channel, and through thousands upon thousands upon thousands of interactions, plenty of dedication, a couple hundred videos, and hours of watching terrible WWE content, here we are today at 500 subscribers. What you're about to view is undoubtedly my favorite video that I've ever made. The script was in excess of 4,500 words long and took around about 6 hours to construct. The audio recording took around 2 hours, and the editing process took upwards of 10 hours. Now, while this amount of effort is the norm for some YouTubers, it's unprecedented for me on this channel. So, hopefully you enjoyed the video, smash the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already as we surge towards the big 1K mark, 1,000 subs. So anyway, enough from me, let's get into the big what if. What if CM Punk joined All Elite Wrestling? Regardless of what you think of CM Punk, regardless of what you think about AEW, if CM Punk came back to professional wrestling and joined AEW, it would be massive for the wrestling world. Now, before I get into anything, I want to address this. Why AEW? Why not WWE? Okay, if you listen to Phil Brooks talk these days, in these past few years, be that the StarCast interview from 2019, be that all these other interviews he's done, he's made it very clear that at this stage of his life, he's over the BS, the high school-like drama, the politics backstage in WWE, where you don't shake someone's hand in catering, all of a sudden someone snitches to the office, gets you in trouble, makes you lose your push. Okay, Punk is over that, and AEW, All Elite Wrestling, led by Tony Khan, Cody, and all them, there is none of that. So that's why, for one, I say AEW. Also, because it opens up this giant world of possibilities. Alright, if CM Punk goes to WWE, yes, you can have Punk vs. Rollins, Punk vs. a bunch of these guys, Punk vs. Daniel Bryan again, or maybe a Punk vs. Cena at WrestleMania. You can do all that, but at the same time, I feel like CM Punk to AEW has so many more possibilities. So this video concept, it was done by Polana Productions around 9-10 months ago as of the making of this one. So yeah, his video was made right before Dynamite's debut on TNT. Personally, I have paid no attention to his video. I've not watched his video because regardless of what he said in his video, the landscape of All Elite Wrestling is completely different. Hell, the landscape of wrestling is completely different given this whole pandemic situation. So it's time, with that said, it's time for me to give this a crack. In this video, I will go from the week after AEW Double or Nothing 2020 right through until AEW Double or Nothing 2021 and answer the question of what if CM Punk joins All Elite Wrestling. So, let's start from present day AEW, right after Double or Nothing 2020. I'll start with this. MJF and Wardlow, their beef rears its ugly head. So on May 27th, the Dynamite show, they had multiple shouting matches with each other. They did the stuff in the Battle Royal. Continuing on from that, they do their big split shortly after. So this leads to Wardlow going babyface, thus keeping MJF as a heel. This leads to MJF cutting a couple of scathing promos on Wardlow in the build-up to their match, which I do MJF vs. Wardlow at Fyter Fest. I think that's a good time for it. It's about a month, 6 weeks from right now, so I think that'd be good. Then there are the tag teams. FTR and the Young Bucks. They have a simple yet effective storyline in the build-up to their match at Fyter Fest. All over, who's the true best tag team in the world? It's had years of hype. The Young Bucks saying that they're the best tag team in the world. The Revival, aka the Revolt, aka FTR, believing that they're the best tag team in the world. It just makes sense. It's simple. It's logical. So their Fyter Fest match is built up as like an exhibition tag match. The best tag team in the world, exhibition, FTR versus the Young Bucks. So that's basically what you need to know before Fyter Fest. Now, Fyter Fest 2020. This show, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defeat the Best Friends to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Best Friends, they just aren't the right team to win the AEW World Tag Team titles at this point. Maybe sometime in like late 2021, 2022, but not now. So as a result, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Then, MJF defeats Wardlow. It's a brutal match. I'll probably get some blood involved. It's going to be very physical, MJF and Wardlow. In the end, we'll get Sean Spears, Alright? Sean Spears rushes down and helps MJF. Therefore, MJF and Sean Spears officially align with one another. I do this because we've seen them in the crowd together at Dynamite. We've seen them be very buddy-buddy in the heel section of the Daily's Place crowd during the Dynamite shows. We've seen them betting on matches together. Them as a dynamic, it works. We've seen it on TV. It's logical. So they're both heels. It's nothing too shocking. MJF and Sean Spears aligning with one another. So that's what I'm doing there. Wardlow is defeated through a bit of interference and BS, so he's still pretty strong. Now, moving on, as far as Fyter Fest, we get Jon Moxley defeating Brian Cage to retain the AEW World Championship. Nothing really to say here. Brian Cage just isn't the right guy to win the AEW World Championship right now. Brian Cage, he's a dominant beast, bit reckless in the ring, I'll say that, but at the same time, it's not the right time for him to win the title. So Jon Moxley retains the AEW World Championship. Then, in the main event, FTR defeat the Young Bucks. This is an instant classic tag match, 30 minutes of just incredible tag team wrestling. In the end, the finish sees the illegal Jackson brother get pinned. Alright, the illegal Young Buck gets pinned in this match, therefore FTR defeat the Young Bucks. So, that's Fyter Fest. That's AEW's upcoming pay-per-view event out of the way. That's Fyter Fest. As you can tell, I'm not covering Cody in the TNT title, nor am I covering what Lance Archer, Darby Allin, Brody Lee in the Dark Order, Jericho, Matt Hardy. I'm not covering what they're doing, just to kind of save time with this. What this video is, it's CM Punk joining AEW. I'm not trying to do a full AEW landscape booking for a year. That's not what this is. So, anyway, coming out of Fyter Fest, the Young Bucks are pissed after their ending, the BS ending to their exhibition tag match against FTR. The Young Bucks confront FTR and tell them that they demand a rematch. After what happened, they don't think it was fair. They think that the ending could have gone a different way and they could have won. This leads to the rematch being set for All Out, which presumably would be anywhere between 5 and 8 weeks following Fyter Fest. So there's ample time to build for the rematch. And this match, the rematch at All Out between FTR and the Young Bucks, is made to be 2 out of 3 falls, so that one bad refereeing decision won't cost the outcome and won't decide who is the best tag team in the world. That's FTR and the Young Bucks. Additionally, we get a couple of segments with Jon Moxley and FTR. They're talking randomly backstage to show that they're getting to know each other. They're in cahoots. They're friendly. I do this because Jon Moxley, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, they just kind of fit. They have similar looks. It just kind of works, I feel like. So, yeah, Moxley, Harwood, and Wheeler are all talking to one another backstage, once per Dynamite, I'd say. Then, during the build to All Out, there is a number 1 contenders match between the 2 men with the best records in all Elite Wrestling. This is between Maxwell Jacob Friedman and Chris Jericho. This is a big-time match, which main events a Dynamite sometime in late July, I think. So, this main event sometime in late July, MJF vs. Chris Jericho. Lots of buzz around this match. I know it's 2 heels going at it, but it wouldn't really make sense to have a heel versus a face when Moxley's the face champion. So, heel versus heel, MJF vs. Jericho. Plenty of hype, plenty of buzz is generated. In the match, MJF defeats Chris Jericho to become the number 1 contender for Jon Moxley in the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, setting up the big match for All Out. Now, that's basically all you need to know for the build to All Out. Oh, and also, Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy then feud a little bit in August, and the Lucha Brothers build up some wins because they're back on AEW Dynamite as a tag team. They pick up some wins with Park and the Death Triangle and whatnot. They pick up some wins and become number 1 contenders to the AEW World Tag Team Championship. So that's what you need to know ahead of All Out. And then there's All Out. Okay, September 5th, 2020, AEW All Out, this big pay-per-view, and yeah, this is where it's starting to heat up. It's starting to get big time as far as the story. So, All Out 2020, the Young Bucks defeat FTR in the 2 out of 3 falls tag team match. This would be everything you'd expect it to be from the Young Bucks and FTR in a 2 out of 3 falls tag match. One of these tag team wrestling masterclasses, an all-time classic. Young Bucks, FTR, 2 out of 3 falls. Need I really say more? Seriously, on the grand stage of All Out, I would open All Out with this match because, look, if you have this match, as the penultimate match on the show, the main event is just going to be overshadowed by this, so I'm getting this out of the way first on the show. This is the opening to All Out, as I just mentioned, really setting the tone for the night. Once again, as I said, the Young Bucks defeat FTR, so that makes the tag teams 1-1. Alright, FTR won off the back of a dodgy reffing decision. The Young Bucks win off the back of a 2 out of 3 falls W. So this goes to the third fall. Young Bucks get the win. This big opener, moving on. Then I have another tag team match, another big time tag match. The Lucha Brothers with Park defeat Kenny Omega and Hangman Page to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Alright, I feel like the Lucha Brothers are the team that makes the most sense to beat Omega and Page, in my opinion. They're legit. They're credible. The match between Lucha Brothers, Omega, and Page will be a stack of fun. I just think it works. The Lucha Brothers deserve a tag team championship reign. Omega and Page. In this match, you can tease some friction in there. They wouldn't lose because of a definitive turn. More on like their whole situation later. So Lucha Brothers defeat Omega and Page to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships at All Out. Then also on the show, I'd have Chris Jericho defeat Matt Hardy. Once again, I know I said a few minutes ago that I wasn't really mentioning guys like Matt Hardy or Jericho, but stuff it. Jericho beats Matt Hardy here, just so you guys know. Then there's the main event. Oh boy, here we go. Jon Moxley against MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It's a big-time main event. It's the biggest match of MJF's career. Jon Moxley, by this point, he's been AEW World Champion since Full Gear. Was it Full Gear? No, it was Revolution 2020. Jon Moxley's held the title for 6 months by this point. He's taking on an MJF who is aligned with Shawn Spears for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. This match, obviously, a big pop and circumstance. They do the match. They're about 15 minutes in. MJF and Moxley going at it. Then we get a referee bump. Shawn Spears proceeds to rush into the ring. Him and MJF are beating up Jon Moxley. Just this 2-on-1 beatdown. You can picture commentary, Excalibur, Shivani, JR, they're all going nuts. You know, JR's doing his like, how's this fair? By God, this is garbage, that kind of thing. JR's losing his mind. He's got his raspy voice. Then FTR, the Revival, run out to the ring. Once again, just to reiterate, they've had their connection going with Jon Moxley. They've been talking on Dynamite. FTR has Moxley's back, alright? So FTR rush out to try and make the save. Then MJF and Spears leave Jon Moxley alone. Moxley's like a beaten down like mess in the corner. Moxley's laid out in the corner. MJF and Spears are pleading for FTR not to harm them. You can picture MJF doing this, doing his heel thing where he's like, please, no, please. His like cowardly heel. Spears is doing the same thing. So MJF and Spears are begging FTR to not harm them. FTR get right up in MJF and Shawn Spears' faces. They're all serious. They look pissed. They look genuinely like, how dare you assault Jon Moxley like this? How dare you? Okay, Harwood and Wheeler, they're really putting this on, acting really well. And then they begin smirking. FTR stare down MJF and Spears, and then their faces turn from like a death stare to this like smirk. So they begin smirking. MJF, Shawn Spears, and FTR then all turn to Moxley, who Moxley's like getting back to his knees at the moment. Basically the same thing he did when Brody Lee and the Dark Order assaulted him. When Moxley's like getting back to his knees, like ready to accept more violence pretty much. Moxley's getting back up to his knees. Then this group, MJF, Shawn Spears, and FTR, unload on Jon Moxley with a vicious 4-on-1 beatdown. Alright? They brutalize Moxley for like a minute or two, completely just laying waste to him. FTR, they go and stand at ringside, Harwood and Wheeler, manning opposite sides of ringside. Shawn Spears rolls out, grabs the referee, throws him back into the ring. Maxwell Jacob Friedman covers Jon Moxley. 1, 2, 3. MJF wins the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Alright, this is MJF's crowning moment. Obviously, plenty of BS and shenanigans have gone into this. It's not some super clean MJF Championship win, but that's not the point. More on that later. So, FTR and Spears then get into the ring. They're posing with MJF, and then they throw up the 4. MJF, Shawn Spears, and FTR throw up the 4. The new 4 horsemen are in AEW. Alright, this, to close All Out 2020, would no doubt break the wrestling world. It will be a fitting main event for All Out, the coronation of MJF as he becomes the AEW World Heavyweight Champion for the first time in his career in this big marquee main event versus Jon Moxley, alongside the 4 horsemen of AEW, officially debuting. Alright, FTR turn on Jon Moxley. FTR are now certified heels. Shawn Spears, MJF, they're the new modern day 4 horsemen. So That is All Out 2020. Now, where do we go from here? What's the role of the Four Horsemen? Why is the Four Horsemen there? What are the Four Horsemen going to do? What's Jon Moxley going to do? What's Omega and Page going to do? Hear me out. So, the Dynamite following All Out closes with the Four Horsemen explaining themselves, or hearing from the Four Horsemen. One of these like Dynamite kind of labels to the segment. Alright, what do the Four Horsemen have to say? So, in this promo, MJF unloads, alright? MJF, he's got the World Championship on his shoulder, and he unloads on AEW management for never giving him the title shot that he so rightfully deserved. MJF bringing up very similar stuff that he did on the May 27th Dynamite, where he's talking about how he's been undefeated for so long, management's never given him a chance, he's sick of it, he feels disrespected, and MJF's just taking that out on the world. So MJF cuts his scathing promo. Sean Spears then calls out the embarrassment that he was put through at Double or Nothing by Dustin Rhodes, and how Dustin Rhodes and the Elite and everyone involved with AEW management is out to get him, and he felt attacked by that, so he aligned himself with the fastest rising star in All Elite Wrestling, MJF, so Sean Spears did that. Then FTR explained that no one tells them what to do or, holds them down, and that the Young Bucks and the Elite are, out to hold them down, and they're sick of it as well. So you've got this group all on the same page, MJF, Spears, FTR, they just hate the Elite. They're done with the Elite in AEW. So that's their promo. This begins the build to AEW Blood and Guts in early October. Now, obviously, Jon Moxley would be selling the effects of this beatdown. He'd be out a couple of weeks. So we're assuming, obviously, All Out is September 5th. Moxley sells his beatdown. Give it 2 to 3 weeks. So Moxley comes back. Moxley will probably cut a promo saying that he wants to take on the Four Horsemen by himself, that kind of thing. A classic kind of Mox promo. Moxley aligns himself with Wardlow because Wardlow still has beef with MJF because of the split and the BS ending with Spears. So Moxley aligns himself with Wardlow and the Young Bucks as well, because the Young Bucks and FTR still have issues. They're 1-1. So that leads to AEW Blood and Guts. It was supposed to take place way back in March 25th, I believe, but obviously the pandemic happened, so they never did a Blood and Guts. I'd have it here. I think it would make sense. It would be a heap of fun. The Four Horsemen, MJF, Spears, and FTR versus Jon Moxley, Wardlow, and the Young Bucks inside of Blood and Guts. Everyone involved, as I mentioned, makes sense. The Young Bucks and FTR, once again, they're 1-1 in their big tag team rivalry. Wardlow never got revenge on MJF for the Fyter Fest match, and Jon Moxley is determined to take out MJF for all the BS at All Out that cost him the AEW World Championship. So this Blood and Guts match, as the name goes, it would be a bloody war, okay? It would be an absolute blood-filled war. You'd probably have a couple of these guys bleeding like stuffed pigs, really, and then in the end, following this sick Blood and Guts match, in the end, MJF pins one of the Jackson brothers, I don't really care which one, just one of the Young Bucks, to secure the victory for the Four Horsemen. So, the Four Horsemen, MJF, Sean Spears, and FTR win Blood and Guts. This is early to mid-October 2020. This win is big because it establishes the Four Horsemen. This big Blood and Guts match is going to be needed for them to really elevate themselves and give themselves some extra credibility as a group. So the Four Horsemen get this win here. MJF gets the pinfall. He gets the pinfall decision to give him a little bit more credibility as world champion. So that's the ending of Blood and Guts. This, once again, further solidifies the Horsemen. And yeah, so that leads to a Dynamite following Blood and Guts. This would come mid to late October 2020. Sights are shifted to Full Gear. Alright, sights are shifted to Full Gear. So, on a Dynamite following Blood and Guts, it is announced that there must be a number 1 contender found for Maxwell Jacob Friedman in the AEW World Championship at Full Gear. Based on the records that Dynamite used with the rankings, it's determined that Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and Jon Moxley all possess the best singles records in the company as far as challenges go. So, therefore, the main event of Dynamite is announced as a big marquee triple threat match, Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. So this is generating a heap of buzz, a heap of interest. Omega versus Page versus Jon Moxley. This is a big match. We need to see what happens. However, during the show, the Four Horsemen strategically assault Jon Moxley. And I don't just mean a regular beatdown that you might see on a regular wrestling show for a night that takes a guy out for maybe a week or two. I mean as something crazy outlandish, horribly violent, just this ruthless, 5 to 10 minute long assault from the Horsemen to Jon Moxley. They do stuff that just abuses Moxley, and in the end, they do this one spot that completely leaves Moxley laid out. Now, I don't know exactly what this spot would be. Picture something that makes you think, cringe as far as looking away, something really graphic. I'm not going to state what spot. This is up to your interpretation, but they do something to Jon Moxley that leaves him out for months. Moxley is taken out. The Four Horsemen want to rid AEW of Jon Moxley. They're sick of Jon Moxley. MJF orders FTR and Spears to lay waste to Jon Moxley, and they do as such. They savagely abuse Jon Moxley, and Jon Moxley is ambulanced out and not heard from again in the near future. So, Jon Moxley out of the picture. This leads to Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page in a number one contenders match. Okay, this whole thing would be very hyped. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page were tag team champions for literally 8 months. They had plenty of hype go into them. Hangman Page and the whole drinking thing. Kenny Omega being Kenny Omega. This whole dynamic. There's a heap of buzz, heap of hype. This match, they're fighting purely for the number one contendership. There's no personal issue there. So it's more mutual. It's not hate-filled. Hangman Page doesn't really care too much about, Kenny Omega and beating him. He more so just wants the AEW World Championship. So this match, I'd have them go about 45 minutes. You've got to assume commercial breaks. So this would be one of those matches where I do a picture-in-picture for the whole match. If you're going to commercial, I don't want this match being interrupted by commercial. I just want Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, number one contenders match in the main event of Dynamite. Once again, plenty of hype. Both guys are babyfaces, mutual respect type match, but still a heap of fun nevertheless. So, in the end, after this classic between Page and Omega, in the end, Kenny Omega defeats Hangman Adam Page to earn the title shot at Full Gear versus MJF. This gives the fans a preview of what it'll be like for Omega and Page to go at it. This match does, and it sets up the Full Gear main event in the process. So I feel like it makes sense. It's furthering the storyline, sets up MJF's Full Gear opponent, gets Kenny Omega into the World Championship picture. This is really the stepping stone for Omega back into the real main event of AEW. So I feel it's necessary in that regard. Hangman Page, this loss furthers his character. It's not just Hangman Page got buried. It's not like that at all. This further sets in stone Hangman Page and the drinking. So I go on. In the following weeks of the show, Hangman Page drinks away his sorrows in a bar. Alright, this loss weighs heavily on Hangman Page. He wounds up on one episode of Dynamite. This would be during November, early to mid-November. Hangman Page finds himself literally blackout drunk. I'm talking, he's drank so much that he's just out. Hangman Page has just drunk himself silly, and as a result, he's just laid out. So this becomes a real big issue. Hangman Page has a serious drinking problem as a result of this loss to Omega. Hangman Page is in a real major personal slump, and he's using alcohol to cope with it. This is going to be really good for the Hangman Page character. I feel like Hangman Adam Page needs something like this. It's going to really further him and give him more sympathy and really help for him as a babyface. Plus, it's something different. It's something fresh. You don't see in pro wrestling wrestlers with big drinking problems on the show in kayfabe. It's not really something that is explored, so I feel like it's an interesting dynamic. Note, during this whole thing with Hangman Page and his personal slump, Kenny Omega does not console Adam Page or help him through this. Kenny Omega is off pursuing MJF in the World Championship. So, accordingly, we get some segments in November of Kenny Omega addressing MJF and the Four Horsemen, saying that Kenny Omega is going to channel his, best bout machine version of himself, that Kenny Omega is going to beat MJF in a one-on-one match, and MJF knows he can't beat him. So, we're getting all this stuff. And Kenny Omega's talking about the Four Horsemen and whatnot. So that's the build to AEW Full Gear. Full Gear itself, I'd have this pay-per-view very end of November, as in last Saturday of November or first Saturday of December. So I'd have AEW Full Gear 2020. This, I think by late November, early December, there really should be a lot of fans back in the arena. Now, I don't know if they're going to have a full arena of 15,000. I don't think that's likely. I don't think that's going to happen until 2021, but I think by December of 2020, I think the whole pandemic situation, I think AEW would be able to have half full arenas at least, whether it's a quarter full, half full. There should be a bunch of fans in the arena, so that's why I'd have it here. And you might be thinking, This video is called What If CM Punk Joins AEW, and you haven't even mentioned him, and we're how long into this video? You're 24 minutes in, you haven't mentioned CM Punk. Just you wait, there's plenty in store for this. So we get literally AEW Full Gear 2020, FTR, the Revival, the Revolt, whatever you want to call them, they defeat the Lucha Brothers to win the AEW Tag Team Championships. Essentially, what I did, I made the Lucha Brothers Tag Team Champions just so they could get a reign with the belts, because I feel like the Lucha Brothers deserve a reign in the AEW tag titles, and additionally it allows FTR to beat an actual real tag team for the titles. So FTR beat the Lucha Brothers in the opener of Full Gear to become the new AEW Tag Team Champions. Alright, FTR are hereby coronated as the Tag Team Champions of the company, and that's that. Then, there's the main event. Here we go. Here we go, boys. Let's go. Okay, Kenny Omega challenging Maxwell Jacob Friedman for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. This match, I would have go in the ballpark of 25 minutes. It's MJF. I don't want MJF wrestling 44-minute matches with 117 near falls. That's not what MJF is there for. This match would be an MJF match, but because he's wrestling Kenny Omega, it would probably be MJF's undisputed best match of his career. Alright, Kenny Omega, MJF. I'm just going to get straight to the ending. So they have about 20 to 22 minutes worth of action, and then this happens. Here we go. I love this. Okay. Pretty much, there's a referee bump, alright? Another referee bump in an MJF match is becoming a theme. So the referee takes a bump. Take note of that, it's important. Then Shawn Spears and FTR rush into the ring. Okay, Shawn Spears and FTR, the Four Horsemen, rush into the ring. They are just beating up Kenny Omega. This is just like All Out in in beginning of September, where MJF did this to Moxley. Here, Shawn Spears and FTR, they're beating down Kenny Omega. Alright, JR, once again, we've got raspy Jim Ross. He's, yelling, how's this fair? By God, this is garbage. This is cruel. He's beating him like a scolded dog, that kind of thing. We've got commentary overreacting to everything. Then, I assume, well, obviously, if there's a crowd there, depending on how much of the crowd there is, the crowd would be booing. The crowd would be getting all angry. They'd be beating up beating up Omega to a point where the crowd is starting to feel kind of like hopeless, almost. Like they beat him up for like a minute and a half. The crowd just thinks, MJF's just going to retain. This is just, what's the point? The crowd's just thinking, what's the point? Then, Cult of Personality hits. Boom. You guys know the drill. Cult of Personality hits. The crowd in attendance goes off their brain. Okay, Cult of Personality is blaring out in the arena, wherever they are, I don't really care. Cult of Personality is blaring out. This plays for probably 10, 15 seconds. The pop would be insane. MJF, like, he does a face that you can barely imagine. Like, his eyes are popping out of his head, his jaw's on the floor. FTR, Shawn Spears, they turn their attention from a beaten down, bloodied Omega. They turn their attention to the aisleway. They're just, like, in a line, just staring at the aisleway. They can't believe what they're hearing. Is CM Punk going to be in AEW? Everyone's losing their mind. The tension builds up for 10 to 15 seconds. Then Phil Brooks, CM Punk, walks out onto the Full Gear stage. He's wearing his wrestling gear. He walks out onto the Full Gear stage. The Four Horsemen look like they've seen a ghost. Genuinely, MJF, Spears, and FTR, they cannot believe this. The crowd's going ballistic. They're all standing in the ring in pure shock. MJF then just panics. He sends his fellow horsemen at CM Punk, alright? So he sends Shawn Spears. Spears rushes at Punk in the aisleway. Punk roundhouse kicks him, and Spears goes down like he's been shot. This kind of like Punk did to Del Rio, Money in the Bank 2011. Remember when Del Rio sprinted at him, Punk roundhouse kicked him? I'd do that kind of thing. So Shawn Spears goes down. Then Harwood rushes at Punk. Punk sends Harwood onto the barricade. So basically Punk just grabs Harwood, sends him in the barricade to lay him out. Then Wheeler rushes at CM Punk. Punk then sends Wheeler into the steel steps. So CM Punk is standing at ringside, death staring MJF in the eyes. MJF just is besides himself. MJF cannot believe what's happening. This whole time, Kenny Omega is like crawling back to his feet. So by the time this stare down between Punk and MJF goes on for like 20, 30 seconds, the crowd's chanting, holy you know what. Okay, the crowd is going ballistic. We get CM Punk staring at MJF. Then MJF turns around. Kenny Omega grabs MJF, one final V-trigger, 1, 2, 3. Kenny Omega wins the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in the main event of Full Gear. He pins MJF, 1, 2, 3 off the V-trigger. CM Punk casually walks off like he's done his job. CM Punk walks off, leaving Kenny Omega to celebrate with confetti. We see Cody, the Young Bucks, a bunch of like the Nightmare family, all of these people have supported Kenny Omega. They're all, celebrating for Kenny. Hangman Page is not there, note that. So it's this big celebration. Full Gear closes. Once again, the confetti. Omega's like crying. He's finally got the AEW World Championship. The Big Bout Machine has the championship. MJF and the Four Horsemen, they've been screwed over. CM Punk has screwed the Four Horsemen. So, once again, the wrestling world is buzzing after an AEW pay-per-view. The AEW pay-per-views, something big happens on every AEW pay-per-view. That's a big thing. So, the AEW world's buzzing. The wrestling world's buzzing. Why did CM Punk do this? What's going to happen? Right. The Dynamite after Full Gear, I would have CM Punk addresses his actions, or whatever you want to call this segment. CM Punk addresses what he did. This, per order of Tony Khan, is CM Punk by himself in the ring with the microphone. Tony Khan has barred the Four Horsemen from being in the arena, because Tony Khan has more than 2 brain cells rubbed together, and Tony Khan knows that if you allow the Four Horsemen into the building, they're just going to beat up Punk out of rage because if they cost MJF the title. So Tony Khan bars the Four Horsemen from the arena just to allow CM Punk to speak. This ruling by Khan leaves the Four Horsemen irate. They do a heated backstage promo where they arrive to the arena in their limousine. They find out that they've been barred from the building by an army of security guards. Then MJF does this legendary shoot promo into the barrel of the camera, saying that he doesn't give a damn about Dynamite's viewership numbers or how much this show is trending on Twitter and whatnot. Phil Brooks cost him his livelihood. Phil Brooks cost him the AEW World Championship, and him and the Four Horsemen are going to unleash unruly hell on CM Punk because of it. So that's how we open Dynamite. We open Dynamite with this Four Horsemen being confronted by security guards, MJF cutting a shoot on Punk, which, once again, that would set wrestling Twitter alight. Then there's the main event segment. The main event of AEW Dynamite following Full Gear. Presumably this would be the first Wednesday of December. I think probably December 4th to 7th, sometime around there. I haven't checked the exact dates, but you guys can picture that. So this CM Punk, cult of personality hits, he comes down to the ring and he cuts his promo, alright? I've written out this promo verbatim, so I'm going to recite this, not fully in character because that's a bit nerdy, but I'm going to recite what CM Punk would say in this promo. Punk says, quote, "A lot of you know me. A lot of you know my story. You know about the water that's gone under the bridge, and you ask why. Why did I do what I did? Why now? Why am I back? Why AEW? So many whys, and I hear that. I hear the world talking right now. Listen up. I had absolutely no passion to return to this business. And then I watched a 24-year-old stud named Maxwell Jacob Friedman doing his thing. Watching someone that young truly did relight the flame inside of me. That flame got brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger every week as I sat in my analyst chair and watched you run roughshod through this place. I said, God damn it, I'm going to let the flame set fire to not just the wrestling world, but to you, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I'd like to think I'm no fool. I'm fully aware that you have your little Four Horsemen ripoff. I see what you're doing, Max. Leeching off the back of others to get to the top. Well, listen here, Maxwell. You ain't seen nothing yet. Punk drops the mic and walks off. The wrestling world explodes again. CM Punk cuts this incredible promo on MJF and the Four Horsemen. The wrestling world is abuzz. They can't believe what's just happened. He just cut this incredible promo to close Dynamite. Presumably Dynamite viewership would be through the roof for this, and because of how great the promo would be, it would carry into next week. So, once again, the wrestling world's abuzz. They're buzzing. So, capitalizing on this, the next week on Dynamite, I would do the following. The final Dynamite of 2020, which this would be probably December, 14th-ish. I'd have the final Dynamite of the year. This would be built around the MJF and CM Punk face-to-face promo segment. Maxwell Jacob Friedman and CM Punk in the middle of the ring, the line of security guards in there to make sure it doesn't get physical. And oh my god, this segment would captivate viewers like no other. Once again, Tony Khan bars Sean Spears and FTR from the arena because Tony Khan's a smart man, as I said. He knows what would happen if they were allowed in the arena. Tony Khan wants to see CM Punk and MJF settled this with words in the ring and without 4 men beating up one. Alright, so Tony Khan makes that ruling. This segment, the face-to-face, I give this 10 to 12 minutes, have it be a microphone masterclass. MJF would say something like this, so quote, "Look at my eyes, Phil, what do you see? The greatest professional wrestler going today, and a man that's better than you, and you know it. Phil, you're a 42-year-old, washed-up shell of himself who doesn't belong in my ring. Hell, look at your childhood, Punk. No one wanted you. No one loved you. Then there's me. I grew up with wealth. I grew up living the dream. Alright? Listen up, Punk. You clearly got hit in the head a bit too hard in your cage fights to realize this, but it ain't 2011 no more. No pipe bomb from the mouth of Chicago-made Phil Brooks is gonna defeat the brightest rising star in pro wrestling today." So MJF cuts a promo like that, something scathing, something that makes the wrestling world go, "Oh my god, MJF just said that about CM Punk, no." Then Punk would respond with this, "Okay, Maxwell, how's this for a speech? Your game is one that I played for years, always has the biggest mouth, but ultimately, much to personal chagrin, lacks the bite. You want to make some word plays with my theme song, you want to bring up UFC fights, awesome for you, Maxwell. I've experienced that on Twitter for years, you're not bringing anything new to the table. But at the end of the day, you don't know what to expect from me. No one does. You don't know how to prepare for this washed up, old Phil Brooks. You just don't know, Maxwell. You like to think you're in control of everything. Hell, just look at your cronies, Spears and FTR. Use them to win the World Championship. Without them, you wouldn't have gotten close to becoming AEW World Champion, Max. Because without them, you would still be that guy on social media getting backlash for flipping off a little kid in an autograph signing, Maxwell. Hell, speaking of autograph signings, look at this. Look at this. I was your hero, Maxwell. You wanted to be me. And now that you think you've made it, I'm going to put you in your place and make you realize that you are not as great as you think you are. Alright? There's levels to this, Maxwell. You spoiled brat. So from here, MJF would be just pissed. They'd do a heated face-to-face. They'd be right in each other's faces, doing this intense stare-down. This would just no doubt captivate viewers. After those two promos back and forth, viewers would be captivated. Then MJF kicks Punk below the belt. Punk's just, he's like all down and out. Punk's, selling his nuts. Then MJF storms off to close the last Dynamite of 2020. I think that'd be perfect. So, Dynamite, they do a Christmas break. They do a recap show. Then, the first Dynamite of 2021. Instead, in the first Dynamite of 2021, we don't get a CM Punk promo. There's no Punk appearance on that Dynamite. We're making him wait. He's kind of selling the effects of the low blow. He's taking a little bit of time off. Then we get the Four Horsemen cutting a promo on Punk. This is a big scathing promo. Sean Spears, FTR, MJF, they're all standing together, cutting this promo on Punk. Then, the second week of Dynamite of 2021, we see a video package about CM Punk and his journey to AEW. CM Punk, is in his home, he's on his couch, he's cutting this promo about how he has a passion again, his fire's been lit by MJF, once again just keeping this build going for this personal match. They do MJF and CM Punk promo segments, not together, but separate. They have MJF get a few wins on TV, the Four Horsemen lay waste to a bunch of AEW performers, sending messages to Punk that they're going to take out CM Punk. In the end, well, not in the end, but they keep this build going. Then, on the go-home Dynamite for AEW Revolution 2021, they have another face-to-face, which, once again, this was must-see TV on the final Dynamite of 2020. This face-to-face between MJF and CM Punk before Revolution would be no different. Alright, this face-to-face, I'm not going to recite a whole, promo for promo, but basically, it's more of this storyline where CM Punk is telling MJF that I was your hero, I'm going to put you in your place because I've got my fire back for this business, and MJF being determined to prove that he is everything he says he is, and that he's better than Punk ever was. So, that's the whole storyline, CM Punk, MJF. This match between CM Punk and MJF, main events Revolution 2021, which takes place in mid to late February. So, that's AEW Revolution. Meanwhile, let's wind back the clock for a minute, back to December. Kenny Omega, he is the AEW World Champion. He cuts his first promo as AEW World Champion after Full Gear. Kenny, he's cutting this promo about how the Big Bout Machine is back. He's going to be the main event player in AEW. Then Hangman Adam Page comes out. Hangman comes out with a beer in hand. They toast one another. They're talking about their journey, acting as if nothing's really gone wrong between them. Hangman Page is like all positive. Then Hangman Page just begins talking all about himself. Hangman Page talking about his alcohol issues, getting annoyed at Kenny Omega for never being there for him. Ultimately, Hangman Page takes his glass bottle, smashes it over Kenny Omega's head. He assaults him. Hangman Page beats up Kenny Omega. Alright, Hangman Page is now feuding with Kenny Omega for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. That's the world title storyline I'm going with. It just makes too much sense. Once again, it's logical, it makes sense, it's captivating, viewers will be hooked. If your main event scene in AEW, the main two storylines is CM Punk vs MJF and Kenny Omega vs Hangman Page for the world title, as well as you'd also have the Cody TNT title stuff, you'd have a Fire tag team division, presumably the women's division would be good, Dynamite and AEW would be must-see TV. So, this Kenny Omega Hangman Page thing leads to them having a program for the world title in 2021. The first match the big world title match is AEW Revolution 2021. They're telling the story of how Kenny Omega was always there for Hangman Page, and he kept that tag team together, but Hangman Page would never cooperate. So Kenny Omega is telling the story of how he was the one who kept them together. He wanted the best for Hangman Page. Kenny wanted what's best for Hangman Adam Page, but Hangman Page just always turned to alcohol. Hangman Page, meanwhile, is saying that he felt betrayed by Kenny Omega. Hangman fell into a deep personal slump after losing that number one contenders match, and he's getting redemption for himself, okay? When he was in that slump, Kenny was never there for him. Along with that, I'd have Hangman Page talk about where his alcoholism started. When Hangman Page became an alcoholic, really was after the loss to Chris Jericho at All Out 2019. He could have been the first ever AEW World Champion, but ultimately Hangman Page failed, and as a result of that, Hangman turned to alcohol, and he's been stuck with that habit ever since. So Hangman Page is determined to fight his battles, fight his mental demons, fight alcohol, beat Kenny Omega, and become world champion. It's a great storyline. Personally, I think there's so much to go off, so that's what I do there. So, AEW Revolution 2021. The first AEW pay-per-view of 2021. It's a stacked card. The main matches, once again, CM Punk vs MJF. CM Punk's first WWE. I mentioned the unholy name. Okay, CM Punk's first pro wrestling. There we go. Pro wrestling match since the 2014 Royal Rumble. All right, this would be must see. Meanwhile, we have Kenny Omega defending his AEW World Championship against Hangman Page. Additionally, I do a triple threat match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Free the Revival, or FTR, whatever they're going by. FTR defending against the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks. Alright, those are the main three matches I'm doing. Once again, the card would probably be even more stacked. You'd probably have a Brody Lee, or a Lance Archer, or a Darby Allin, a Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho, Matt Hardy, Cody. All of these guys in some way, shape, or form having matches. So the card would be even more stacked, but these are the main three matches. So, AEW Revolution 2021. Right. Early in the show, like at the beginning of the show, I would open the pay-per-view with Hangman Page drinking in a bar. Alright, commentary, JR, Excalibur, Shivani, they're selling this like, what in the hell is Hangman Page doing? Is he out of his mind? Is he really gonna wrestle Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship under the influence of alcohol? Is he a lunatic? He has no chance of winning. That's what I'm gonna do there. So, Hangman Page is drinking hours before his World Championship match, which I have commentary not condoning and saying you shouldn't do things on the influence of alcohol, but as far as the storyline goes, it really adds to it. So, then, there's the triple threat match for the Tag Team Championship, FTR, Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks. This one, I mean, listen to the teams involved. Young Bucks, Lucha Bros, FTR. Do I need to say more? Like, seriously, give this like 20 to 25 minutes. These guys know the rest. Seriously, just have them put on a tag team clinic. This is the thing with AEW. If you're letting FTR, the Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, all these teams go at it, they're going to put on some just fire tag team matches, and that's what they do here. So FTR defeat the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks to retain the AEW World Championships. They pin the Lucha Brothers here. So, incredible match. That's our opener. Moving on. Then, there's the singles match. This is the penultimate match on the show. Singles match for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Kenny Omega defending against Hangman Adam Page. This, I'd have be a 25-minute barn burner of a match. They're saving some spots for something down the line, but nevertheless, it's a very fun singles match. Hangman Page, during the match, Now, this would affect the quality of the match, but it's more about the storyline, alright? This is about the story. Hangman Page is selling the effects of his alcohol, okay? His drunkenness. Hangman Page, obviously he does his punches, his kicks, the basics of wrestling he does fine, but when it comes to the timing of, aerial moves, the timing of a springboard move, or the timing of, I don't know, take a pick, a suplex or something, Hangman Page his timing is off, and that's because of the alcohol. Hangman Page, his equilibrium, it's kind of off. It's just, Hangman Page isn't fully there, and that's his own fault. So, in the end, we get Hangman Page, he has Kenny Omega down. Hangman Page rolls out to the apron. He gets to his footing. He leaps up onto the top rope to go for a springboard buckshot lariat, but Hangman Page, he loses his footing. Hangman slips. Kenny Omega then grabs him or hits him with a wicked ripcord knee. Then a one-winged angel. 1, 2, 3. Kenny Omega defeats Hangman Page to retain the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. After this match, I'd have a backstage segment where Hangman Page, he's doing a breath test. I think this would be kind of funny, but it would really help with the storyline as well. Hangman Page does a breath test, and he blows some number, which it's reasonable. It's not like Hangman Page is, wrestling on a completely ungodly blood alcohol concentration, but he has a blood alcohol reading it's over the limit. Hangman Page just wrestled a 25-minute match against Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship under, that kind of situation. So AEW management, Tony Khan, they're not happy. For the safety of the performers, Tony Khan is not happy. Tony Khan accordingly suspends, Hangman Page for a couple of weeks to punish him for this, risking the lives of the people involved. AEW is not condoning wrestling under the influence of alcohol. They're not condoning this, but Hangman Page, because of his personal slump, he wrestled under the influence of alcohol. So that's that. Then, meanwhile on the pay-per-view, that wasn't even the biggest talking point. Meanwhile, we have CM Punk versus MJF. Alright, CM Punk in his first match since 2014. This would be a marquee match. This would just generate so much traction. So singles match, Shawn Spears and FTR are banned from ringside. CM Punk versus MJF. Booking this match, it took a little bit of thinking. I didn't know what exactly to do. It's a bit of a creative challenge, but here's what I would do. Okay, they wrestled for about 17 to 19 minutes of actual kind of wrestling. The first couple minutes of the match is kind of taking in the crowd. The crowd's chanting, "This is awesome," that kind of stuff. They do some essential kind of wrestling. This match, it wouldn't be like a 5-star classic. It'd be a pretty damn fun match. If you're giving this a star rating, this match would probably be like 4 to 4.5 stars, something around there, purely just because of the spectacle mainly. But anyway, the match itself, during which MJF gets busted open from the forehead, just like at AEW Revolution 2020, where MJF took on Cody and got busted open. I have a very similar thing happen here. MJF gets busted open big time from the forehead. He's bleeding like a stuffed pig. Okay, CM Punk makes MJF bleed. So, MJF proceeds to collapse the outside of the ring. Okay, MJF is collapsed at ringside. He then goes under the apron, grabs the diamond ring. Alright, MJF gets back into the ring. CM Punk looks at him. He's just standing there. He's like, "How stupid do you think I am?" Alright, Punk rips the diamond ring off MJF's finger. He throws it into the crowd, which Maxwell Jacob Friedman is just, he's crying. Maxwell's just, "Oh my god, ah!" Then CM Punk grabs MJF, gets him on his shoulders for a GTS. MJF escapes. Then CM Punk with his finisher, MJF hits CM Punk with his finisher, and then both men are just out. Both guys are collapsed. Both guys are out of commission. MJF crawls over to pick up Punk for a second attempt of his finisher. Then Jon Moxley's music hits. Jon Moxley's music blares out on the PA. Jon Moxley's music hits. That unscripted violence theme song. Okay, the crowd goes nuts. The crowd goes ballistic. This is the first time we've seen Jon Moxley since that brutal beatdown by the Four Horsemen in late October. Alright, this is the first time we've seen Jon Moxley in literally 4 months. So the crowd goes ballistic. Moxley, he's standing in the crowd, there's a spotlight on him. Moxley's just standing there, as if almost like he's Sting from WCW in the late 90s. He's just standing there in the crowd. MJF is just staring at him once again like he's seen a ghost. MJF is like, "Oh my god." MJF is just, he's out of breath. He's looking at Moxley just like, "Oh my god." I've just seen the ghost. Then CM Punk grabs MJF, GTS, 1, 2, 3. CM Punk defeats Maxwell Jacob Friedman at Revolution 2021. Alright, this, I'm sure people would complain. People would say, oh well, the MJF's 24 and CM Punk is 42. So, what a way to put over young talent, AEW. Well, hear out the storyline, then how about you complain, okay? The Dynamite following Revolution, we get Jon Moxley addressing his actions. Why did Jon Moxley do that in the main event of Revolution? Why did Jon Moxley help CM Punk and cost MJF, alright? Moxley in his promo says that CM Punk is, Jon Moxley owes CM Punk his career. Moxley says that CM Punk gave him his big break in the other company, alright? Jon Moxley says that the Hounds, because you can't say the Shield on AEW TV, Moxley says the Hounds was all CM Punk's idea, and just right there, Moxley owed Punk one. Moxley owed Punk for setting up his career in the first place. And additionally, just to add to that, MJF was the same guy who screwed Jon Moxley out of the World Championship at All Out, and MJF led the Four Horsemen in the brutal attack of Jon Moxley, which laid him out for 4 months. Okay, MJF and the Horsemen cost Jon Moxley 4 months of his career. So Moxley, the least he could do was screw MJF out of this match. Alright, so that's Moxley's scathing promo, bringing up how CM Punk brought Moxley into the WWE, and how CM Punk gave Moxley his big break. Additionally, what MJF did to cost Moxley the world title. Moxley, his actions are justified. His actions make complete sense. Alright, so CM Punk, him and Jon Moxley are in cahoots. So as a result, this leads to a tag team match in the main event of Dynamite a couple of weeks after this. So we build to CM Punk and Jon Moxley versus FTR. This match, it would draw big time attention, alright? This would be the second CM Punk match in AEW, the second CM Punk match, and accordingly it would gain plenty of buzz, plenty of traction. So this would obviously main event at Dynamite, and once again, former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley's in it, so that would get some traction. Obviously, yeah, Punk and Moxley going against the best tag team in the world, FTR. This match, give it like half an hour, have no commercials. In the end, there's a DQ schmoz as MJF and Shawn Spears interfere, lay waste to Punk and Moxley, so the Four Horsemen end the show standing tall. From here, I would build up to MJF versus Jon Moxley, a Double or Nothing 2021. This is the story that writes itself. MJF and the Horsemen screwed Jon Moxley out of the AEW World Championship to close All Out. The Four Horsemen assaulted Moxley so bad that he was out of action for 4 months. I'd have Moxley call out how MJF can never win by himself, that MJF is the luckiest main eventer he's ever seen. MJF needs ref bumps and, gang beatdowns to win his matches. I'd really have Moxley call out MJF on that. Moxley saying that if MJF can if somehow MJF beats him fair and square, he'd be shocked, and he'd bow down to MJF. So that's the whole stipulation here. Additionally, MJF is pissed because obviously, as I mentioned before, Mox cost MJF his match against CM Punk. So that's the whole MJF Four Horsemen Jon Moxley type thing. Once again, Moxley versus MJF at Double or Nothing 2021. Then I'd have CM Punk do a segment titled, What's Next for CM Punk? Okay, so Punk says that he made his comeback. He gave the fans his final match, and now he can ride off into the sunset for good. Punk is then shown dropping the mic and walking into the backstage area. There'll be a camera behind CM Punk following him. They're following Punk to his limo. The crowd's kind of booing because they want to see more CM Punk. And then, when CM Punk gets to his limo, he sees Chris Jericho standing next to the door of his limousine. Chris Jericho's blocking Punk from leaving AEW. Jericho says, You ain't done, Punk. Not yet by a long shot. This leads to a match, a Double or Nothing 2021, and accordingly a feud between CM Punk and Chris Jericho in AEW. This match would serve as CM Punk's farewell final match. I feel like having CM Punk wrestle Chris Jericho, it's a good final opponent for Punk. I think having Punk wrestle the Future and having Punk wrestle someone who's been so big in his own career, Chris Jericho, it just makes sense as far as a 1-2 for matches in his AEW career. This match and the storyline, there'll be plenty of nostalgia to go with it. Punk and Jericho, just being Punk and Jericho really, they'd pull off some great stuff. Jericho having callbacks to 2012 with his feud with Punk. Jericho talking about how he's always been here and Punk's, left and, he's a quitter and whatnot. Punk saying that, he's going to go out, go out on the high and win the match. So that's Punk versus Jericho. That's what they're doing at Double or Nothing there. As for Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, this is gold, this. So Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, we see Hangman Page responding to the suspension and the loss at Revolution by begging Kenny Omega. Hangman is saying that Kenny's a humble champion, and if he was accepting, he'd take into consideration that he went 25 minutes with Hangman Page and he was drunk, alright? Kenny Omega should be giving Hangman Page one last chance at this championship, alright? Hangman Page was loyal to Kenny Omega for so long. They were such a good team. Hangman Page really goads Kenny Omega into taking this match. Kenny doesn't really want to take the match. He doesn't really see a point. But at the same time, he's a babyface. He's very humble. He's in the end willing to have this final match at AEW Double or Nothing 2021 against Hangman Page. So this sets up the big match. Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Double or Nothing 2021. Alright, Hangman Page is determined to solve this tailspin that's been his personal life because he can't win the big one. He can't win the AEW World Championship. He's turned to alcohol and he's determined to rid his lifestyle of that and win the title. Also, one other thing, the AEW Tag Team division, I would have had Private Party be picking up consistent wins for about 6 months. Private Party would have an exceptional, exemplary record, and as a result, they get this match at AEW Double or Nothing 2021 against FTR for the tag titles. The best tag team in the world, FTR, defending against the youngest, brightest, most exciting tag team who are on a big run of momentum, Private Party at Double or Nothing. So that is the Double or Nothing 2020 build, and then there's Double or Nothing. This is the final, the conclusion, the finale to this. What if CM Punk joins AEW video? Here we go. AEW Double or Nothing 2021. Opening the show, the Private Party defeat FTR to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This would be a 20-minute tag team match. Once again, I've no doubt it'll be a complete classic. Private Party and FTR, just give them 20 minutes, let them put on a show, just like with all these tag team matches at the pay-per-views. They'd be flawless matches, I've no doubt. Private Party and FTR, I'm going to say that they had a match on Dynamite, maybe, in August to October sometime in 2020, so they would have had one previous interaction, but it would have been like a 6 to 9 minute match. People would have complained that the match was too short. This match would be their full 20-minute pay-per-view match. It would be this big Broadway match, heaps of fun all around. In the end, FTR are defeated in tag team action for the first time since they lost to the Young Bucks at All Out. So, Private Party are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. They have their coronation on the biggest stage of AEW, Double or Nothing, AEW's WrestleMania. So we open the show with the Private Party becoming the new Tag Team Champions. Then, MJF versus Jon Moxley. This match, it may seem tricky to book, but really, I don't think it is at all. This match, when I looked at it, I thought, I cannot have Maxwell Jacob Friedman be losing 3 straight pay-per-view matches. Alright, MJF has to win this match against Jon Moxley. He simply has to. And as a result, I would have MJF win this match clean. No help, no BS, no interference, no overbooking. Just MJF hitting his finisher on Jon Moxley. 1, 2, 3. This would resolve a lot of the criticism about MJF, that he would need a bunch of overbooking to win his matches, that MJF's matches, he can never win clean. MJF would beat Jon Moxley at Double or Nothing 2021. So a big win for MJF. Then CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. This is realistically the conclusion of this video, but it's not the conclusion of the whole story. So CM Punk versus Chris Jericho, the farewell match for CM Punk in All Elite Wrestling and pro wrestling as a whole. This is built as CM Punk's just conclusive final match ever. The finale for CM Punk. Here we go. Basically, before I mention that, Chris Jericho, I haven't really mentioned him much in this video. I mentioned that at All Out 2020, he beat Matt Hardy. Basically, what I would have done for Chris Jericho, I would have had a mini feud with Mike Tyson for like 6 weeks or something. Just have a mini feud. If you want to have them have a match, feel free. I'd have Chris Jericho versus Matt Hardy, obviously. Then I'd have Chris Jericho feud with a Darby Allin, a babyface Wardlow, maybe a Luchasaurus, all these kind of people, really putting over the younger guys. So that's what I do with Jericho. Then the match itself, Punk vs. Jericho, Double or Nothing 2021, I would have CM Punk win this match with a go to sleep, clean, no BS, no overbooking. CM Punk goes out on top, beats Chris Jericho, clean in the middle of the ring. Jericho, he'd have no problems doing the favors for CM Punk. It's all good, okay? Chris Jericho goes out on his back, or not goes out. Chris Jericho loses the match. CM Punk goes out on top. Alright, Punk gets his emotional farewell. They have this big tribute for Punk. So that's a big Double or Nothing moment. And then there's the main event. The main event of AEW Double or Nothing 2021. No holds barred match for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Kenny Omega defending against Hangman Adam Page. It's the culmination of, oh god, how long? This would be the culmination of a 15 to 17 month story of Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, a team that was thrown together, who won the tag titles. They had so much friction, so much uncertainty. People thought they'd turn in February of 2020. People thought that the pandemic would break them up. People thought that they'd be separated. They only became stronger. They lost the titles to the Lucha brothers. They had all this BS where Kenny Omega defeated Hangman Page in the number one contenders match. Omega got the title shot. Hangman Page went into his dark personal slump. Everything that went down with these guys. It's the big culmination. Double or Nothing 2021, the main event. Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. Okay, the final match of the video. This one, it's pretty obvious what I'm going to do here. It really is. If you've been following this story and listening throughout the whole video, it's pretty obvious what I'm going to do. This match would be a 30-minute long, no-holds-barred war. Just the biggest classic you can picture. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, once again, culminating this, 15 to 18-month long friendship, journey of friendship, struggles, and hatred. In the end, after this classic, all-time great match, Hangman Page hits 2 or maybe 3 consecutive buckshot lariats. Then he rolls onto the apron and delivers one more big springboard buckshot lariat onto Kenny Omega. 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page closes AEW's biggest pay-per-view of 2021, raising the AEW World Heavyweight Championship aloft. Hangman Page is crying. It's a very, very emotional moment. Okay, Hangman Page makes it clear afterwards. Okay, Hangman, Hangman, he's celebrating. It's got the big confetti, this emotional moment. Hangman's choking up. He's crying. He hugs Kenny Omega. The whole elite, everyone is getting around Hangman Page. Hangman, he gets offered a drink by whoever. You want to have Kenny Omega offer Hangman Page a beer jokingly. Hangman Page takes the thing, just smashes it on the ground. Hangman Page smashes the bottle on the ground to symbolize, he's done with alcoholism. He's done with alcohol. He's a new man. Hangman Page, he's won the AEW World Championship. He's solved his biggest demon. Okay, the thing that caused this whole alcoholism, the thing that caused his downward spiral, losing the Chris Jericho at All Out 2019, alright, losing that number one contenders match to Kenny Omega, all of that is now sorted. So Hangman Page raises the title aloft to end AEW Double or Nothing 2021, and that is what I would do. What if CM Punk joins All Elite Wrestling? That's it. That's the 500 subscriber special. Thank you guys so much. Plenty of work went into this. I haven't even done the editing yet, but I'm sure it's going to take ungodly amounts of time. But thank you guys so much. From Double or Nothing 2020 through Double or Nothing 2021, so much to take away from this scenario. Be that the Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, just long-winded, long-term booking storyline, the emotion of Hangman Page finally winning the AEW World Championship after everything he went through with alcohol and Kenny Omega and whatnot. Then MJF, Shawn Spears, and FTR as the modern-day Four Horsemen. I think that's really sick. John Moxley, being abused by the Four Horsemen, then coming back and costing MJF the match versus Punk. John Moxley and the Four Horsemen, I think that's really good. FTR, their run as a tag team in AEW, including their matches with the Young Bucks. Private Party being coronated as stars and the new World Tag Team Champions of AEW. But most importantly, CM Punk coming back for one last run in pro wrestling in AEW. So, this has been The Elitist. Thank you for 500 subscribers. On the road to 1,000, let's hope this video does bits and gets some traction going. So much work went into that script. So much work went into this recording. God forbid how much it can go into editing. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you're still here, shout out to you. Like, comment, and sub. You guys know the drill. See ya.